All right, so I live out in the country. I think most of you guys are aware of that. Uh, we're gonna. This is the first video, kind of a kickoff of a project we're gonna have. Hopefully it won't be titled "When You Have to Call a Plumber." Anyway, but at the beginning of the video, I figured I'd show you our Miss Pumpkin Spice. She's probably one of our friendlier barn cats, if you want to call them that. That's what us country folks call them. Essentially, they're just feral. They live at your house. She's popped out a couple of kittens. They're wiggling around over there. I have a black lab that likes to eat them, so she's actually had a little bit more than two at one point. And there's another cat around here called Little Miss that is also feral, and she's had a couple of kittens, but she's only got one left. The black lab was over there, but she ran off because I was picking on her, talking about her eating kittens. Hurt her feelings, even though she likes to eat kittens. All right, that's not what this video is about. It's not about kitten eating. It is about living out in the country and some of the consequences of it, especially when you have poor construction on your house. So that's kind of it. So we do live out in the country. We do run on well water. And over the years, we always have problems with our water heater filling up full of, essentially calcium. There's a name of it that fell out of my head. Scale. So basically, this gets just filled full of scale. About every 2 years or so, we've got to take that little drain plug down there out, run some stuff back and forth in it, pull all the scale out. You could probably see some of the pieces of it laying over in there, and some old black mold that has been killed. So just so you're aware, it has been killed years ago. But anyway, I'm kind of just at the age now where I'm just really tired of this. We do drink our water every grate once in a while, but not often. So I really just, when we bought this house, they didn't really have filtration systems. Filtration systems are in. So essentially, I bought a whole house filtration system. It's not reverse osmosis or any of that kind of stuff, but it is meant for heavy metals. The filters themselves are sitting over there. When I bought this, I did not realize how big this is at all. I guess I didn't look at the dimensions. It was a little bigger than what I anticipated. It is definitely going to be interesting getting this all in that room and getting it hooked up to the pipe. Now what I've got, so before I get too far, I've got two spin downs coming in because we do get a lot of stuff in there. So I've got a 100 micron spin down, a 50 micron spin down, and then those, essentially, if you go from left to right, so left to right, so your charcoal, your KDF for your heavy metals, and your sedimentary, your KDF for 100 micron, or 100 for your heavy metals, and then your charcoal. And so they go bing, bing, bing. I've got the things up there for them, but they essentially sit in there. Some interesting things about this project. See if I can make sure I hit the 5-minute here and not go too far over. But anyway, some interesting things about this project is that the reverse wall has my main junction box on it. I have no idea how the wires run on that. It's probably run incorrectly. I could pretty much assume that because pretty much everything in this house is incorrect. But anyway, so I've got to get this mounted up there. I was really apprehensive about mounting it to the wall because the junction box is literally right there. Like I said about running wire incorrectly, this is an example of some of the amazing wiring that was done. Again, the junction box is right there. Somebody should have ran out a junction, or the circuit breaker box is there. Somebody should have ran out a junction box in here. They could have even put outlets in it, which would have had outlets in here, and then did a better job wiring to the pressure switch. But of course they didn't. Anyway, so as you can also see, I'm pretty constrained in space. So what we're going to do is, instead of bolting this to the wall, and possibly, you know, taking lag bolts into wires, is we're actually going to build a table. So as part of the butterfly table, I made sort of a base template that I never ended up using, but I'm going to use part of that. I need to make another one of those. Essentially, I'm going to build an L table in here that's going to sit on top of my pressure unit here. So I'm going to build an L table, put it in here, put some legs in it. I will do some rudimentary, because I do know this stud right here looks pretty clear, and I know where it's at, so I'll just kind of drill some hole, or put a couple of screws in to hold that table up there with some legs, and that should give us a lot of sturdiness for what will undoubtedly be a very heavy unit when it's full of water, right? As soon as it's full of water, it's going to weigh a ton, and it already weighs a metric butt ton now, so they did a really good job putting this together. The other part I'll put on this, since I'm running at 6 minutes, though, is that I did get this from Amazon. Had really good reviews. So this is the first time I'm going to be using these express water guys. Actually, the first time my house has had any filtration whatsoever. So I really won't know what I'm comparing it against. But anyway, just, you know, hoping to have this. The one thing is this is like really expensive. So I've got to, you know, if you look these up, they're about $450 or so, or more, depending on when you catch them on Amazon. That's a lot of money for a little rectangle. It did come with, luckily it did come with a set of filters, right? So that helps a lot. They're about $150 for a set. And then, of course, I've got another set of filters that I bought. Anyway, so I want to get this done, get it in there, get our water clean, tasting good. There's a lot of challenges to do, and we'll be talking about one in the next vid. Alright, so the first step of this is done. The first thing I had to do, of course, is turn off the breakers and essentially drain all the pressure out of the house system. Basically just did that by exactly that, turning off the breaker on the other side of there, turning on all the faucets, tubs, that kind of jazz. And then when it's empty, you can actually do a measurement off your bladder unit. I have not been diligent on this. I got to make sure I set a reminder up, a yearly reminder up in Alexa, because I've not been diligent at all. This was registering no PSI. So I filled that up to 2 PSI less than my cutoff switch. So I actually wrote that down here, so I'll remember next time. So the tank is at 38 PSI, so I filled that up. And then the next part of this was adjusting that pressure switch. For whatever reason, my house was set at 20. Boy, that looks horrible, doesn't it? It was set at 20 plus 20 is 40. 40. I need this set to 40-60. So it's actually doing a really good job. I got a 3/4 inch horse pump. Should be able to handle 40-60 just perfectly. I don't really know why the pressure was never set to that when I had him replace the pump years ago, but I guess whatever. I think he actually did ask me about water pressure. I told him we were fine, but at this point I need it up because the minimum's got to be 40. So I got that set. You can see it's idling right around 50 at the moment. So basically getting that, you know, sat here and watched it, had to keep twiddling with the one screw there at the top till I got it to hit to that cutoff at 60, and then I sat and watched it fall back till 40. So the next step is I'm going to let that sit for the day, and then what I'll basically do is I got to get these tables and stuff built, get the units in here, kind of get everything all ready as much as possible, and get all the bypasses and everything all built before I start hacking into this. So there you go. So this is probably a second parter, I guess. I'm going to take a walk with you guys real quick because I forgot what I needed to get. I wanted to brush that off. So this isn't really a woodworking project, so it doesn't have to be pretty, and it isn't. But essentially, we're putting that filtration system in. So I've got this huge filtration system over here hanging, sitting up underneath that garbage bag that I'm going to be moving into here to help with our water, because we run off of a pump. If you saw the first video, you saw they did a horrible wiring job and all this other stuff. Anyway, so I wanted to put this in. It actually's got some legs on it. I've got a leg there and a leg there, because this thing is going to weigh a lot once it gets put in here. The other thing is I had to cut this huge hole out right here to try to figure out where that wire was, because my house is always built subpar, so the geniuses that put this in basically just ran it over that piece of sheetrock. Like literally it ran out over the top of this, no hole in it, just the wire stuck out of the wall, ran down there, and I needed to figure out how to get this shelf in here so that the gauges were something I could read if I put this other unit in, and how I'm going to hook it up and all that kind of stuff. So I had to basically cut a hole in the drywall. Not the best. I don't really plan on mudding it. As you can see, nothing in here is mudded anyway. But I did put some little patch boards back here and then screw it in so I don't have a hole. Anyway, I've got some legs in it. It is screwed to the 2x4s with 4-inch wood screws. 4-inch wood screws here. I've got the legs really tight, holding it up. I'm a little worried about this side here, although it's pretty stout. I'm 200 pounds and I can't really move it, but water is very heavy. One thing I'm probably going to do, and it's over here, is I have this oddball shopsmith leg. When I inherited my dad's shopsmith, it has legs that hold up essentially these things. So it has legs that hold up these things. Well, I only had one, and I didn't really have the parts to that, and I was able to find a spot, or on Facebook, I was able to buy a set of legs, because that was the only thing I was missing from Dad's shopsmith, was a set of legs. So I went ahead and bought a set of legs. Didn't really cost me that much, and thank you, Facebook, for giving me that. But that left me with this oddball leg, and I think I might find a use for it, because here's really the problem. The problem is that I need to be able to get to that. I need to be able to get down here and check my pressures. And if I put a wooden leg in here, I'm going to be cussing myself for the rest of the time I live in this house. By the way, that mold is dead, so if anybody wants to comment on that, I'm sure, but it is dead. Clorox is dead. Anyway, but I still need to be able to get in there. Someday I'd like to do a better wiring job on that. It really needs to have a junction box, probably an outlet right there. Wouldn't be a bad idea if I was getting really fancy to mount a light up underneath here. Anyway, things to do later on. First thing is I got to get this filtration system in, because I'm tired of cleaning the scale out of this thing every year. And we'd really like to, as we get older, I'd like to be able to drink my well water. So anyway, so I got a filtration system. I just got to be able to get it in here. So had to build this little table. Again, not perfect. It's got a little slot right here, because that's where I'm going to put the little the filter thingies, you know, that you pull on, the little wrenchy thingies. I'm going to put them in there so I don't lose them. I have one around here somewhere, I thought. Maybe I moved it. Anyway, so let me move this. So that's the whole system. There's the filter thingies. So these little things, I'll be able to slot and kind of put them in there. So that fits those. It's pretty big. I don't know if you can really judge size off videos, but that's a pretty big unit. It's absolutely massive. And then as soon as we got it in, I didn't realize it was that big. As soon as we got it in, realized how heavy it was, and realized that once those are full of water, and those are 2 foot long, maybe 2.5 foot long. And once those get full of water, they're going to be pretty heavy. I couldn't just have this thing, you know, mounted to the wall on a couple of screws, right? That's just not going to work. So, anyway, so we're going to get a little table here for it to set on. I've got a leg here. I've got a leg here. I've got a leg there. 4-inch wood screws holding it into that stud, that stud, that stud, and this stud over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wood screws going in. Got these legs that are perfectly, I mean, I had to bang them in, so they're perfectly the right height. So I've got the back covered. I'm going to set it towards the back. That should be good. And then we'll put, like I said, this little temporary leg right here in this corner. So as soon as the wife is, Cheryl is out here ready to help me get this big monstrosity in here, I'm going to probably take some pictures and do a little bit more video on it. So anyway, yeah, a light underneath here wouldn't hurt, is considering you can't really see that pressure gauge very well, and it'll have, I need the pressure, especially for this one filter, to be a minimum of 40 psi. So anyway, that center one there. So I'll talk more about it when we get this up and going.